While he was a student at Parsonsfield, he also started the first student-led National Temperance Society. Not his father so much as his mother. His mother was a teetotaler. She was a temperance crusader before the women's temperance crusade even began. And 12-year-old Oren certainly followed her example in that way. When he was at Dartmouth, he started the Abolitionist Society. And let me just give these quotes from the one biography that there is on Cheney was written by his third wife, who he married, I think, 12 years before he passed away. When he's at Dartmouth, this is what she says. There was very much a spirit of the school founded as a missionary enterprise for the education of the Indians that strongly appealed to Oren. In a little enclosure on the campus is the grave of Eleazar Wheelock, the founder of Dartmouth College. The place had a strange fascination for the new student, and as he often meditated by it, undefined possibilities in his own future took intangible form. It said of Oren that he liked to be in places where things happened, and he liked to visit the graves of important people. He would have his lunch by Eleazar Wheelock, the founder of Dartmouth College, and by the monument marking his grave. Undefined possibilities. Undefined possibilities. Well, he went on to Whitestown Theological School, which was retermed the Freewill Baptist Bible School in upstate New York. It had been originally used by Charles Finney and his folks, but it was turned over to the Freewill Baptist, sold to them. And he and his young wife, he had got married, he and his young wife landed there, and she took ill. He brought her back home to New Hampshire, where she died within a year of their marriage, or a year and a half, or in that ballpark. And the quote from his diary in the biography just says, 10 years from now, I hope I'm not even alive. That was the idea. He was just in such despair, such grief. He taken over that grief. He was married a year and a half later in July, and but it was understandable. Nancy Perkins, who he married, she was an amazing lady, and they became quite a team, because he leaves Whitestown, comes and he lands in Lebanon, Maine, West Lebanon. A man who I've worked with, a man who sat on a board that I also sat on, is the pastor of that church. I preached in that church. I had no idea, but it was a church, the Union Freewill Baptist Church in West Lebanon. And while I was there, they were challenged to build a better school. And so Oren and his wife Nancy built Lebanon Academy and began to educate, and a lot of those students ended up going to Bates College later on, or being connected. Some came as professors, I think. And if you want to check any of my facts, check with Elaine, because I know that she knows. But here's the thing about everything that Oren was doing. Everything he was doing, it wasn't about him. It wasn't about him. He kept investing in things that were for others. As you look at his life, as you read the biography, as you actually see what he did, there was such a sense of, I'm serving. Not surprising, his father had served politically, had served in the New Hampshire State House. His brother Person would go on to be the governor of New Hampshire. He had another brother who was appointed ambassador to a number of foreign countries. And he even had a distant cousin who was vice president of the United States called Dick Cheney. Same family. You gotta go back a little ways to see the connection, but it's there. But he just kept serving, and it doesn't seem like he prospered By it all, as a matter of fact, time and time again, you see him reaching into his own pocket, pulling it out, and another book that I brought with me, Anthony's book, Pastor Anthony's book, Cheney's fundraising was so much not about him, and they were so nip and tuck. I mean, just all along the way, it was an unsteady enterprise. No matter how it looks today, it was an unsteady enterprise for the first few decades. But he kept building. Well, from Lebanon, he had such a reputation that somehow between Sanford and Lebanon, and I believe that John Storer in Sanford had something to do with this, based on what you can see later on. But somebody led a campaign to put Oren Cheney in as a write-in candidate for the Free Soil Party. And after the election, someone came to congratulate him. He had won his seat in the Maine State House. He didn't run. He didn't run. Being the servant that he was, he took the duty up, went and served his term in the State House, and realized there was a need for a church in Augusta. So after 6 years in Lebanon, he was leaving the church in Lebanon, and he was going to work with this small fledgling group. And as soon as he gets there, he builds a church. Builds a church, gets it together, builds a church. And it was, and I've forgotten the exact date, September something, 1854. He got the news. Parsonsfield Seminary had burnt to the ground. He spent a night in struggle. Here's a man who was a minister, an educator, and politically connected now. If anyone was going to be able to get anything done in the main Free Will Baptist denomination, it was him, and he knew it. After the night of struggle, centrally located. Parsonsfield, anyone been to Parsonsfield? You went there on purpose, didn't you? Because you wouldn't go there by accident. It's not centrally located. Lewiston, however, is. It was one of the options, and through a whole series, the land was made available to the Maine State Seminary. Maine State Seminary being of course, a preparatory high school. It's not a seminary in the sense that we think about it now. And there's some debate, as you read the accounts, there's some debate as to whether or not he intended to do a college, whether he didn't intend to do a college, and I'm not going to enter into the debate. All I know is he was looking to do the best he could for the young people of his denomination, as well as all of the young people of Maine, male and female, which was revolutionary in his day. Maine State Seminary happens. 5 years, some of his students begin to ask him, why can't we just do college here? Why do we have to go away? Why can't we just, and however it happened, the result is the same. Teaming up with Benjamin Bates, who was the businessman and philanthropist from Massachusetts who owned Bates Mills, and it really easy to get it because they're right in the same place. You can get them confused. Bates College becomes a reality. He becomes the president of Bates College, spends 40 years there. Now, you would think that would be plenty. You would think it would be plenty. And I just found this out. I think it was from the book, and I'll show you the book from Dr. Burke that Jean gave me, Lane. I didn't know this. Cheney spent summers from 1861 on with the Christian Commission in Washington, D.C. That was new information to me today as I was just going over that material, that he was going down every summer on his summer vacation from Bates, because in his diary when war broke out, he said, I'll do my best to end this slavery trade, even if it means that I die. He's going down giving his summers to the cause, and he has friends that he helped get elected sitting in the House of Representatives, and he wasn't afraid to use them. He wasn't afraid to make new friends. He had the political punch to just step forward. And he did. Won't get into all the wrangling, but the war comes to an end, and he has former Maine State Seminary alumni serving the freed slaves in Virginia, educating the freed slaves, because during slavery it was illegal to teach them to read and write. Well, when he was in Richmond, and he just happened to be places, when Lincoln visited Richmond, Cheney happened to be there. Saw the crowds, saw the freedmen hailing Father Abraham for having freed them. And he talked to them, listened to them. Gene does a good job on Railroad to the Moon, pulling that scene together. We kept that scene in, didn't we?
We kept it
Okay, good. I didn't want to be misrepresented. He listens, and he knows they need, one of their biggest needs is education. It's their path forward. Nathan Brackett, who was from Phillips, Maine, Nathan, he's down there and he's working away, and they're traveling to a lot of little schools, teaching kids and adults how to basically read and write, that give them the basics. And they saw one place, they saw a freed slave woman who did know how to read and write, teaching, and Brackett realized there's a better way than us Northerners coming down and trying to learn the culture and trying to communicate. If we could teach the adults in a normal school, we could be, the impact would be far greater. Well, he lays it out before Cheney. Cheney not want to be dissuaded. He saw the truth of what was going on. He saw that was exactly what they needed, and began to push that way. He got the results that he wanted by asking for far more than anyone expected he would get. He got huge area of land, 4 different land grants from the Shenandoah Valley, overlooking the site of John Brown's grave. What did I say, Harper's Valley?
Harper's Ferry.
I said Harper's Valley, but didn't I? Harper's. That's always my fear, that I'm going to say Harper's Valley because of Harper's Valley PTA, the movie from years ago. Harper's Ferry. Overlooking Harper's Ferry, he got the land. The impetus for the land was a meeting he had in Sanford with John Storer, businessman who was set up in business after Maine became a state. He was working in Wells with a couple of partners. He was working for them, and they set him up in business in Sanford because it was going to be a booming business area, and it did become that. Sadly, it's not today, but it boomed, and he was very prosperous, and he had $10,000 that he wanted to give to help the freedmen in their education. Just wasn't sure if the Freewill Baptists were big enough to handle it. Cheney, in his quiet way, assured him they were. He assured him he wasn't sure. He assured him he should be. And it seemed like it went back and forth, and then they agreed. And so Harper's Ferry, Storer College, is named after John Storer of Sanford, Maine. Cheney's name was originally on the deed for the land because the Freewill Baptists hadn't approved it yet. He got it before the denomination approved it. He received it from the government, taking it. They gave it to him, and then he signed the deed off to the organization. Storer College was where Frederick Douglass was standing 14 years after the war, saying, "Did John Brown fail?" Well, John Brown had a pretty good partner in Oren Cheney. He had a pretty good partner in not just saying this was the way it ought to be, slavery ought to end. Okay, now that it's ended, we got to do something